Hi, hunters. Thank you for tuning into the Flush'em and Dustin podcast brought to you by Nick and Tyler, the boys from Ringnecks and Retrievers. In this podcast, we will talk about guns, dogs, gear, and our successes and failures in the field through our combined 40 years of experience. We speak with hunters just like you from across the nation about their days in the field and the many memories they built with their friends and family. We are excited to have you listen. Now let's get to Flushing and Dustin. Hunters, welcome to another episode of the Flushman and Dustin podcast. We have a very special guest here tonight, Anthony Farrow from Fetching Feathers out in Colorado. We are excited to have him on. We're going to have a great show here today. So we're just going to kick it off and get right into it. Anthony, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in with all your dogs and your training, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. First, thanks for having me on, guys. Obviously, I always appreciate the opportunity to talk about fetching feathers and kind of what I'm about, my passion and my bird dogs and the things that I like to do. So really, let's just kind of, I'll make it kind of quick. Didn't grow up hunting, but always had this desire for the woods and outdoors, camping, fishing, all those things always appealed to me. I always found connected to the woods when I was younger. And then I went to transition all the way to college is really where it started. My freshman year of college at Kansas State. Go Wildcats! How about beat OU 35-0?
That was actually good. That was good.
Sorry, I got to throw that in there. Anyway, went to Kansas State and I joined a fraternity. And Kansas State being an ag school and a veterinary school, and just kind of in general, you're going to get a little bit more of the country kids at Kansas State. And I had a bunch of country kids in my fraternity, and I saw my first bird dog work my freshman year of college that November, and it was game on after that. Had a couple older guys that had a Vizsla.
What was that dog?
A Vizsla and a short hair. The dog's name, Scar, was the Vizsla, and Rebel was the short hair. Owned by a friend of mine at the time, Scott Bodermer, which he's doing some awesome stuff out of Kansas, out of his kennel, but. Man, Scar and Rebel were some bad dogs, and I watched them both lock up on a rooster, and like that was the first time I had ever pheasant hunted in general. And as anybody knows who hunts damn roosters, to have a point rooster early season opening weekend in Kansas when November can still be pretty hot.
Yep.
Man, unbelievable experience. It was some private ground, so they had left some great sorghum and milo strips in the middle of the field. So
Perfect.
It was just it was one of those like first experiences that I guess for somebody like myself and you guys a lot who hunt public land.
Yep.
You don't get those experiences because it's public land, and so know it's going to be a grind. When you get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, like I'm fixing to take an Upland ass whipping. But you know that if you walk enough, you'll find them.
You're gonna be successful. Yes. Speaking of that, a couple of years ago. My sister's boyfriend and I went to some private ground of a guy that he knew. And the guy says he sees birds all the time. And it was only 80 acres, so not a huge chunk of territory. But I shit you not, we saw over 100 birds, I guarantee it. And we got our limit in an hour and 15 minutes, 2-man limit. It was fucking insane.
Oh.
It was just, I just couldn't even believe it. I was like, oh my gosh, it was the best Iowa hunt I've ever had.
Yeah, so it was one of those situations where, like, for a newbie, like, it couldn't get any better, like, really set the hooks in. So I shot my first couple of roosters that day, and obviously I was with a bunch of fraternity brothers and some of the older guys in the house. So, man, it was just an experience overall, going to, like, my first, like, bird camp.
Yeah.
And just, like, cleaning all the birds together, like, mass amounts of cleaning birds together and just shooting the shit and obviously the late night drinking shenanigans, and there's always that one guy or two that just leaves an impact in a story that you don't tell your mom about that weekend.
Yeah, that's right. That's what college is for.
Like there's always that guy that's like, man, you just totally made this tonight happen. So, and that's really where it got sunk in. So I did a victory lap is what I call it. I did a 5th year at Kansas State, victory lap style, and that's when I bought my first bird dog.
Okay.
He was all liver German short hair. I named him Gnarly. And then it was game on after that, man.
So then what got you to go? You were in Kansas. Are you from Colorado then?
No. I grew up, born and raised in Kansas.
Okay. Yeah. So then what brought you to Colorado? And then tell us a little bit about what you like about the German short hair and how that plays into your kennels. And then also do you only train German Shorthairs?
Sure,
I guess
sure.
so. Kind of
I'll
a
touch all that. No, there's three. I can touch all that. So, I told you that like my family grew up fishing and camping.
Yep.
My grandfather owned Olathe Ford RV growing up, an RV dealership, and so him owning that dealership, we always took a huge travel camper and all the family loaded up. We came to Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. We did all of it, Jackson Holes and
nice.
all of that stuff. So
Nice.
fishing and camping was like our summer thing with my family. And it was hard not to like Colorado as a, 12 to 16-year-old young man. Like it was just a playground, man. I just loved everything about it. So before I got to Colorado, I moved to Texas for 3 years. I got family that lived in Texas my whole life. I grew up spending summers in Texas with my family. So I went from Kansas State to Texas, lived in Austin for 2.5 years. I was like, man, it's too damn hot here. There's not enough birds. He gone. Headed to Colorado, and that's why I went to Colorado next. I was like, man, I need to go somewhere where I can be on a lot of birds. The weather's a little bit, plays a little bit better to what I'm trying to do with my bird dog.
Yep.
And so I've been in Colorado for 8 years.
Nice.
Really, like this location of where I'm at in Colorado. So we have 10 upland species in the state of Colorado, which a lot of people don't know.
Oh, wow.
I did not know that.
Didn't know that either.
We have 10 species. So last year I set a goal to shoot 10 species in one season over my rookie dogs. And that was over like a 5-state territory, which I ended up accomplishing. Unbelievable.
Nice.
1-year-old dog, first season, 10 species.
That's sweet.
I wanted to set a goal for myself this year. And I said, well, damn, dude, why don't I shoot 10 species in Colorado all in one season? Like, let's do like the Colorado Super Slam, one season, all 10.
What are the 10 species in Colorado? I couldn't even.
All right, let me see if I can knock this out. So it starts out sharp tails, blue grouse, sage grouse,
Okay.
ptarmigan, chucker, pheasants, bobwhites, gambles, scaled quail, prairie chickens.
Oh, wow.
What the fuck's
in the
what the
state
fuck's a
of
gamble?
Gamble's cool. You know what a gamble is, bro?
I don't, man. No.
Check it out. You got a computer in front of you. Go pull up your tab. Quail, man, they are super good looking birds. Usually, like, you can really find a good population of Gambel's quail. Southern Utah, northern Arizona border. I shot Gambel's in Utah last year on the Utah-Arizona border. They're bigger than scale quail and bobwhites, way bigger, way longer legs. They run a lot more. Really attractive birds. They also have a knot. So anyways, yeah, really, really cool.
And just so I don't feel dumb, Tyler, did you know what that was?
I'm looking it up like he said. I'm smart and use my computer.
So you didn't know what it was either.
Those things are pretty badass. They got that. What's that thing called that hangs off the top of their head?
Like a top knot. It's like they're not.
Man, that thing is sweet.
Yeah. That's which is why I wanted to shoot a couple last year.
It's probably called hair. You're not
So
used to it, Tyler.
they're like a breed of a quail then?
Yeah.
Bigger.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we have like three species of quail here: Gambles, Scalies, and bobwhites.
That's legit.
Yeah. So there's 10 here. So a lot of people don't know that. A lot of them are hard to find. There's very, very few areas you can find them in, and even harder to find them on public lands in those, geographical areas.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
Which is why it's a challenge. So I already failed this year. Sage grouse season's only open in Colorado for a week. I went out 2 days. I walked 25 human miles in 2 days. All three of my pointers did over 50 miles in those 2 days of hunts.
Dang.
And I never got an opportunity to harvest. We had some guys that were with us, that were walking the line with us that harvested, but never had a point, never had a wild flush, never pulled the trigger. So, that's the name of the game. So
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy my season nonetheless, but further notice, every single year from here on out, I'm going to start at the beginning of the season, and I'm going to see if I can accomplish the Colorado Super Slam.
And that'd be a hell of an accomplishment.
Hell, I'm going to go for it. Why not? And if you fall short, then who cares, But I mean, gosh damn it, set some big goals and test yourself and your dog,
Right.
And as a dog trainer, that's what that's about to me is I'm really testing myself, that my dogs are going to point 10 different species in 10 different terrains at 10 different altitudes in 10 different weather scenarios with 10 different wind directions. Like,
Yeah,
all that dance together. Come on, man. That's what
that is legit.
oh, gosh, damn, that fires me up.
Absolutely.
To get back to your questions, I rambled a bit. German Shorthairs. I run German short hairs. It was, so I saw the Vizsla and the short hair first.
Yep.
I just really attracted to the liver and white short hair that I had seen. And then come to find out, I fell in love with all liver short hair. So Gnarly, my first bird dog, was an all liver short hair male, who had since passed. And then when he passed, I bought his replacement, named him Smoke. Smoke is an all liver male as well. In regards to training, biddability, mindset, drive, the switch that I'm able to create from the house to the home. I train, I don't know, eight or nine different breeds of dogs, out of my home in the last 2 years. German short hair, I never have a gun shy German short hair. I've never had a German short hair come here because he was gun shy. I've never had to try to create prey drive in a German short hair to get him interested in birds, whether it was a young dog that was clueless or maybe it was an older dog who never had the basis or was around birds. So I'm trying to pull these natural abilities out of you down the road. I've never had a German short hair have that issue. Those are the type of things that I look for. I also like to be able, in certain scenarios, to be able to pressure a dog with some collar pressure in order to achieve whether it's steady to wing and shot or whatever it is that I'm trying to do, or pull them off of some sort of fur or something of that nature. Like a short hair is tough as hell, man. I've hunted my short hairs in negative degrees in water on ducks, and I've hunted my short hairs in 90 degrees in the desert on quail.
Yeah.
To me,
that is nice.
They are just a solid, high endurance, high drive, tough mind, wanting to please. And at home, I mean, you guys know, you follow me, man. My dog's out on the couch upside down, sleeping, completely cuddled up, zonked out. We're chilling. Dad's watching some bullshit TV show, having a beer, and we're posted up. Like it's time to relax. So
which is really important to have that from the home to the field, to have that switch. I find that with Diesel, we have a 17-month-old daughter at home, so he has to chill, when we're inside, and he's great at that. So I completely agree. I haven't been around many German Shorthairs. I've hunted over a couple, but not a ton. So I do know the endurance. Like, I can tell the difference between Diesel, who's a 87-pound lab, and GSP, and they can just completely go.
They can just
It's a different hunter though, right? They're a different hunter, different hunting style. So.
It is, absolutely it is. And for me, like, don't shoot me, please don't shoot me. But roosters are my least favorite species to chase because I run pointers. And they notoriously will make a pointer a loose dog because how they run and what they do, right?
Yep.
So I don't like to hunt them a lot, and I hunt big Western country. That's where my heart lies. That's why I like chasing 3 or 4 species of grouse. I love big open country for quail, big, huge, just huge fields for quail. Hunting chuckers and Huns, Hungarian partridge, big rolling hills. That's really where my hunting is, and I really need a dog that ranges at 400 to 800 yards and is going to be able to do 30 to 40 miles a day.
We basically just hunt pheasants and then some quail in Iowa. So we need to expand our horizons, I think, a little bit, because we're going out to South Dakota again this year. Next year, we're already trying to plan for North Dakota.
You guys, if you're going to go South Dakota, North Dakota, go early season. Don't go for the stereotypical roosters. Like, you realize that North and South Dakota, when sharp tail season opens, so do prairie chickens. So you're shooting a mixed bag every day in the same areas that you're hunting. I mean, and not only that, but, like, number one, mixed bags are fantastic. Like,
that's what I like.
It doesn't get any better when you see something get up and you don't. It's something that you thought it was, and you're like, oh shit, that's a chicken. Pow, And it's like, like, there is nothing better than having a limb with Sharpies and a chicken gets up, and you're like, oh, I'm in on that, right?
Yeah.
So, I went. Let's see, it had been 4 or 5 seasons ago. I went to Pierre, South Dakota, solo trip in September.
Okay.
And I hunted the national grasslands in Pierre and shot 3 days in a row, a limit of Sharpies and a limit of chickens, 3 days straight by myself, and never have gone in my life.
That's awesome.
Now, granted, it's Pierre National Grasslands. Everybody knows about it. By the way, people in Pierre, don't shoot me here in South Dakota. I'm not some secret spot. Everybody knows about it. Pump your brakes.
Yeah. Ain't hot spotting.
Everybody knows about me there. This is going to be you heard it first. Fetching Feathers here in South Dakota, Sharpies and Chickens. That's a fun hunt. You know, I would do that. Heck, if you guys go to North Dakota, you can shoot Sharpies and Huns. You know, Sharpies and Hungarian partridge, like, dude, go early season. Don't waste it on roosters. If you guys got roosters at home, if you're going to travel, this is the best advice I could give anybody who is going to spend the money.
Let's do it. Bring it out.
Research to travel and time away from their wife. And, oh, Lord, I know how much you had to get away with and what you had to do to get that week off with your wife.
Well, and I really had to – she'll be 36 weeks pregnant when I leave for South Dakota.
I know what you're putting in, okay? If you're going to go and spend the money and the time and the hassle with work schedule and family schedule, go do something that you haven't done. Go put yourself in an uncomfortable situation in fields that you haven't walked, at elevation you've never been to, with a species you've never shot. Like, I understand that, like, I love chasing roosters, right? You guys love chasing roosters, but you got that at home, and you've got that not only at home, but all the surrounding states around you that you can punch the hell out of roosters.
True.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend that money to make a memory that you've never had before, to see a covey rise that you've never seen, to hold a quarry that you've never held in your hand, that you harvested over your dog that you trained. That's the best advice I could give you. Everybody wants to go with what's comfortable, with what they know and what they like, dude. If you're going to spend the money and the time, dude, go big, dude. Or
I like that.
Best to be uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Your ass at home and shoot roosters, man. Do something you've never done. I'm telling you, and this goes for men in particular, that, man, men grow in situations that they're uncomfortable in. We always do.
Oh, yeah.
We put ourselves in uncomfortable situations. At the ass end of that, you're always better. You're always grown from it. And I know that for myself, at least, and I think, you know, maybe I can speak for you guys, but it's hard for us to be proud of ourselves a lot. And I always find myself to be proud in those moments where I went to a new state, where I hunted public land, and I harvested a species that I had never killed before.
Yep.
The gratification out of that trip is so much more than I spent $1,500 to go shoot roosters in South Dakota, and I saw 10,000 roosters. That is badass. I cannot take away from how badass that is.
I mean, it's true.
But you will get so much more satisfaction out of putting yourself in a situation that you've never been in and accomplishing that. So food for thought, man. Go do something you've never done. You won't regret.
I think it's pretty badass too when not only you do that, but your dog that you trained, that you've worked with, is now on a different species. Like you said, back home, they know what a rooster is. They see a rooster get up, any pheasant, boom, they're on it. Man, you put a different bird in front of them, and you watch them retrieve that back to you after you shot it. They put in that work. Like I'm getting chills just thinking about that. That is so freaking awesome to think about.
We've been doing things wrong.
Nah, man, you haven't been doing things wrong. You just haven't expanded. You just haven't been tested. Your mind to be put in that situation to even think about that. You know.
Yeah.
I think that, like, if you really honestly like push that, so like I'll send you guys a picture of all 10 species with my new dogs holding each one of those species, and to line up 10 pictures in one season with 10 different species in the same dog's mouth, dude. Man, I'm
untoppable.
Like my heart is pounding now talking about it.
Anthony, honestly, I don't know if I've ever thought about hunting another species until you brought it up. To be honest with you, we've just been so locked on, you know. Like
I think there's, now don't quote me on it, I think there might be 18 North American upland species, and before I die, you better believe I'm going to harvest every single one.
Every single one.
You know, I killed 13 species over my previous two dogs, that had already passed.
Yep.
And I think that if I add everything up, I'm right around 13 to 15 North American species overall.
Nice.
But I personally fell in love with chasing different species because of my rambling ways. I'm kind of a vagabond in that there's just something that the highway sounds and music and open roads does to my soul, that I enjoy the travel as much or more as I enjoy the actual hunt.
for sure.
Yeah.
I think that maybe I won't get too deep, but I think maybe in my younger years as a young man, in my early 20s or my mid 20s, I think maybe the rambling was me kind of reconciling or running from some things in my life and some things in my upbringing, and just me trying to learn myself as a man.
Yep.
Some mistakes I've made coming out of college, getting that new career. There's a lot of transition and a lot of shit going on in your mid 20s.
Yeah.
that you're not really even thinking about, right? So I think for me, that open road was like, man, it's solace. It's that space, you know. I mean, you can throw on some Stevie Nicks and life is good, you know. You know, so I don't know. That's really where my journey started to happen. It wasn't that I set out to hunt new species; it's that I set out because I wanted to travel to new places.
Yep.
And I started to talk to all these people, and I started to meet with Fish and Game, and I was like, "You have how many species here?" And I can shoot how many different species within an hour of this campsite? I was like, wait a minute. I've been doing it all wrong, man, because all I had ever shot was bob whites and roosters growing up in Kansas.
Yeah.
Never crossed my mind. And then when I moved to Colorado, sharp tail season, September 1st, and then blue grouse is right there. And then a week after that is sage grouse. And I was fortunate enough to shoot the trifecta on public land. I shot a limit of Sharpies, sage, and blues all on the same day in the same field.
Oh,
and at
nice.
that point, my mind was just like, hold on a minute.
Wow.
I can
That is
shoot
crazy.
multiple species in the same day instead of just shooting my limit of Sharpies and being done, or shooting my 3 roosters and calling it a day and going home and kicking
Yeah.
and having
That's
a beer. I was
awesome.
like, wait.
Do you have to hunt? Do you have to hunt different terrain or different grasslands for those birds? Like,
Some of these
you know,
areas, like in Northwest Colorado where we hunt them, it
Yeah.
kind of is a natural progression, just like Earth, right? Plain to to high desert plains,
Yep.
to rolling hills, to foothills, to mountains.
Yep.
As you're progressing up elevation, you're kind of working your way through all of these natural habitats where these birds live. So oftentimes, like on your lower levels, you're going to find your Sharpies and your sage grouse, obviously. You know, when
Yep.
you're sage grouse, you're looking for that knee-high or shorter sagebrush, not real thick, so you've got some open grassy pockets.
Yeah.
And then oftentimes you're going to find your sharp-tailed grouse on the outskirts of sagebrush clumps in the grass, or on like fingers, on like a finger up the hill with rolling hills on both sides.
Yep.
If you've never hunted sharp-tail, guys, and you don't have a clue of what you're doing, this is the best advice I could give you. Sunny side of the hills in the morning. The birds are always going to get up and suntan on the east side of the hills in the morning. So if you don't know what to do when you're out hunting, stay on the east side, right? Work parallel along these hills on the east side and catch these birds waking up out of their roosts and sunbathing. And then in the afternoons when they get hot, you can always find them in these bowls. And the bowls, and in the in between these valleys and bowls with like a lot of scrub brush or chokecherry bushes.
Okay.
And so that's how I always identify what I'm trying to hunt and where these birds are at, obviously, by habitat. But not only habitat, but by what time of day. I mean, it's just like anything else. Big game animals are going to travel from their bed to their water, to their feeding and loafing grounds, to their watering spot, to their day shade, sleeping spot. I mean, there's those natural things that they progress. And so as a hunter and understanding birds and habitat, I mean, that's something that we've got to pay attention to. So sunny side of the hills in the morning, bowls in the afternoon.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then
Nice.
obviously you work your way up in elevation. You get up to the aspens, the quakies, and you're going to find all your blue grouse on the edges of the quakies, and then like grass pockets. Blue grouse really, really love like these open like cul-de-sacs in between, like a cul-de-sac of quakes. This nice like bowls with nice open grass. Good brooding grounds and good places for them to raise their broods, and
Nice.
usually give you everything that you need.
Shit, I've learned a lot just in the past 2 minutes, man. I would never known any of that.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, all you got to do is come up for September 1st next year. If you stay like 10 days, you can kill 3 species of grouse in the first 2 weeks of September, so.
Man, we might have to be
But I
doing
mean, here's the thing. The Dakotas are closer to you guys, and so it's a no-brainer. Like, I can't believe that you guys haven't shot over to go shoot Sharpies or chickens. So, like, check this out. For me, I'm getting ready to head to Nebraska. It's a 4-hour drive for me to shoot sharp tails and chickens. They're both open in Nebraska. We hunt the sandhills in Nebraska. 4-hour drive. If I shoot a limit and I don't feel like staying, I'll zip back for 4 hours, and it's an 8-hour round trip.
That's not bad at all.
That's not bad at all.
And with a buddy, you know how it is, man. You knock down a coffee in the morning, you get a little energy drink and some lunch in the afternoon with a vest full of birds, and you call your lady and tell her how badass the dogs did. You call your buddy who couldn't come and tell him how badass your dogs did.
That's right.
Because he couldn't get out of his honey-do list. Dude, that 4 hours goes quick, So, man, I challenge you guys.
We
got some surrounding states with holding birds. Get out.
We have talked about doing the Nebraska challenge. next year. Like we were just kind of researching that this year a little bit, and we thought next year maybe that's something we should go out and try to do. I think that's four different species of birds, I believe. Is that
Yeah, I
correct?
mean, you can shoot bob whites, prairie chickens, and roosters in the same day in Nebraska in multiple places.
Man, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
You can stay out there longer.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude,
You
it's
know?
awesome. It's awesome. There's no reason to go home. No way. I don't care. Like, if you love the NFL that much, get a DVR. Like, dude, there are
Yeah.
3 species in this.
I don't.
Let's
I
go.
would much rather hunt than watch the NFL. That's for sure.
Baby, all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what got you to wear fetching feathers? How'd you come up with? Obviously, I think you kind of explained it. I mean, you love all the different species, but where did the idea of fetching feathers, getting the kennel, training your dogs,
Yeah.
what made you want to do that?
Sure. So this is funny. This is no bullshit, kind of embarrassing, but whatever. It's the facts. So like my senior year of high school, you know how they do like most likely to be president or most likely to, I was straight up, dude, what the hell? I was straight up most likely to own a clothing line. My senior year,
What?
that's what I was voted by.
I didn't even know this.
And I was like, you guys are ridiculous. Like, so, you know, I mean, I grew up in a Sicilian family, so, you know, I mean, it's just kind of in our blood to have a little bit of that extra pizzazz about you. And, you know,
Yep.
it's just what it is, man. It's just how it was. So anyways, that's what I was voted for. And holy shit, come to fruition. 12 years later, I started fetching feathers, and, you know, in 2016. So really it started, you walk into Cabela's, Gander, Shields, Bass Pro, and you go to the Upland section, and it is like,
Sucks.
dude, thank you. Tan and orange to the max, like starched shirts that look like SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yes.
You know, like they're so square.
Nothing's
And
comfortable.
it's like I'm sorry, but I'm not. God didn't bless me with size. I'm a smaller framed man. I can't. Like I got like, what am I? Put another human inside?
Yeah.
Come
Yep.
on, guys. The vests are garbage. The jeans, the heavy denim jeans with the heavy brush pant on front. It's like a
Ugh,
5-pound pant.
God, I hate those.
I number one, I was frustrated with the quality, and number two,
Yep.
I was frustrated with the look. And so, you know, then I went to like the t-shirt section, and you guys are going to love this because, you know, I mean, this is what you own, but I'm going to ask you a question. When you go to the t-shirt section at Cabela's, what dog's on the t-shirt?
A lab.
Hmm.
They're all labs.
Black.
Yep.
And typically a black lab. They're handsome. They're great. They're America's dog. I get it. I'm not a lab guy. I'm a pointer guy. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, there's just a huge market. There's not even any, like, you know, like there's not even just screen print of a damn GSP on point in a shirt,
Yep.
any retail store. And then I got to thinking this, guys, and this is like the business side of it. So there's, you know, 3 breeds of retrievers that anybody would really know, right? Lab, Golden, and Sheffield, right?
Yep.
Yep.
I could name 10 or 12 breeds of pointer right now, which is a larger demographic if you think about money and business, right?
Yep.
And I could put a setter on this shirt. I could put a French Brittany, an American Brittany, a German wire hair Griffon, a German short hair, a Vizsla, an English setter, a Llewellyn setter. I mean, dude, look at how much money is out there in regards to the pointing industry. So it was a niche.
Yeah.
I was just like, hello, there's money to be spent. Then my mind got to thinking this. I'm watching guys, I was guiding hunts, and I'm watching guys bring $50,000 to $200,000 Krieghoffs in the shotgun, in the field.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you saw a guy in the marsh shooting ducks with a $200,000 shotgun?
Never.
You don't. Then again, I look at the market and I said, where's the money at? We've got $200,000 shotguns compared to $3,000 to $5,000 Benellis. Like,
Yep.
dude, look at the market. So I was just like, you know what? Let's throw some bullshit on a shirt and see what happens. And come to find out, bullshit on a shirt reciprocated with a lot of people. Yeah,
That's a good bullshit.
That's
Hey,
awesome.
I'm gonna make a shirt that just says that bullshit on a shirt and see who buys it.
You know that shit would sell.
it would sell. Somebody would be like, "That is the best shirt." Bullshit on a shirt.
Oh, man.
Trademark.
You could be like my sister's boyfriend, and he I won't say his name, but he thinks he's pretty cool, so he got a tattoo on his back, and it's something cool.
That's what it says?
Yeah.
That is so
And you ask him, what's something cool? He's like, it's me.
Oh my god. Oh,
Awesome. Yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of where it started. In the 4 years that I've owned the clothing, I haven't got to where I want to be. Quite honestly, I'm pretty annoyed with the screen printing and the hats. It's a lot of overhead up front to
Yeah.
keep inventory, and the margins are they're garbage. I mean, it's really just it's more marketing and advertising expense in my mind than it is actual profit or making money or putting anything towards the bottom line. I
yeah.
have people walking around at with obviously hunting, all their hunting trips, wearing my stuff, take a picture. What's that hat? They see the shirt, family outings, baseball events. It's just a way for people to ask, what is that, right?
Yeah.
I really want to do Fetch and Feather shooting shirts. I would love to create a Fetch and Feathers signature plaid with like, a nice little shoulder deal, maybe like the small
Oh, that would be legit.
leather on the elbows, just like a real super clean shooting shirt.
Yeah.
I've got a patent that I've got on a pair of brush pants that have basically sewn in knee braces that are built into the seams of the brush pant because I've got awful knees and I wear them. But every knee brace in the entire United States touches up in the back of my knee. And so I just put a patent. I obviously haven't pursued it, haven't tried to make a prototype, but I just put it together. It made sense to me that it's with the seam. It can't move up and down. It's consistent with the pant. Who knows if that ever happens?
Yeah.
But that's what I would really like.
It's a good idea.
Man, I would love to transition to some actual hunting apparel. I would say that I think that every need in a hunting vest has been taken care of in 2020 with the 4 companies that came out.
Yeah.
Chief
Upland and
Hunt Ready. Yes.
Hunt Ready.
And one other one. Anyways, man, and God bless those guys for putting out a new product in a
a nice product
with 4 other people to compete with. Like, man, they are really going through the small business battle together right now. And so things that I've thought about, and you guys have got my empathy because I would hate to be in the best market right now.
Yeah.
Oh man. And
Pike was the 4th one that
Pike. Yep.
Pike,
we've been throwing back and forth some ideas too, so maybe we can get together and brainstorm a little bit and see if something sticks.
Right.
Throw shit at a shirt and see what shirt sticks on, right?
That's right. I'm good at throwing shit.
He's good at fucking missing shit too. Can't hit a goddamn bird.
Hey, whatever. We all gotta miss. You gotta have the one friend that misses. You can't all hit everything.
I got to keep federal premium ammunition in business, my man.
That's right.
So, Anthony, you also, I see that you feed your dogs Eukanuba, and we got onto Eukanuba too, and I think it's personally a really great food. My dog responds well to that. His coat is really nice. He's really soft. I think that has something to do with the food. And obviously being a lab, I go with the special breed Labrador mix or whatever it's called by Eukanuba. And I think that really helps with his joints so he doesn't get hip dysplasia. And I notice he's 6 and he doesn't show any signs of having joint problems yet or anything like that. And I also give him a supplement on top of that. But, for our listeners out there, what's your take on that food for people that are kind of searching around and don't really know what to do with their dog at this time?
Eukanuba for me was a no-brainer on a whole lot of levels. I was fortunate enough to fly out to their facility where they're doing a lot of testing on the animals and their working dogs and all sorts. It was mind-blowing the things that they were doing. And I'm going to get sidetracked, but I'm going to tell you this real quick. And this is like the coolest test that I saw them do. And this is like so important for every dog owner to hear and listen to. So they basically have a board on the ground that has pressure sensors in it. Okay.
Yep.
They put the dog, which is essentially the height of a standard tailgate. They have this ledge up on the wall, and they put the dog up on it, and they have the dog jump off the ledge onto the pad, and it censors how many pounds per square inch on the dog's paws. It's something crazy. And gosh darn it, and I hope that I'm correct when I remember this. I think it was 1,300 pounds per square inch jumping off a standard tailgate to the ground.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
They are testing everything. It was the most mind blowing things, man. It was so cool to see what they're doing. The way that they're putting dogs on basically like the like doing testing with the body suits with the little things on it, so you can see the joint and everything, and they're learning how to identify hip dysplasia and things of that nature and arthritis before it happens, just based on the cancer and the gait of a dog. So for me, to see the science and the testing that they were doing just alone that had nothing to do with food, right? We haven't talked about food yet. What they're doing to understand working dogs and dog breeds, and they had a whole cat facility that they're doing stuff at too. So, if you're into that.
No, I'm not.
So like, I don't know, it was just very obvious that they really care about dogs and their bodies and how their bodies work and grow, and like to have 1,300 pounds per square inch off a tailgate.
That's insane.
Dude, I pick my dogs up every single time now. Like, I get mad if they try to jump off. Like, I'm catching them. I'm like, no, no, absolutely not. So just things to be aware of. Then I got to see every single ingredient that goes into the food that I feed, Eukanuba Performance 30/20, which they just came out with 4 new performance brands based on your dog's activity, which is really, really cool.
Yep.
And I got to see the ingredients and smell them and taste them and understand, there's this stigma behind chicken and chicken byproduct and chicken meal and what it actually is and what it comes from and how it's broken down.
Sir, is that all you live on now? You just eat Eukanuba yourself too?
Yeah, man. Water and gravy on it.
High protein.
No wonder his hair's so nice. Right?
Yeah, I need to get me some of that.
How do you think the mullet's been growing in so good?
Yeah. I got nothing.
So yeah, I mean, to see what's in the food and just the whole process, man, it was just you could tell, to me, in my experience with them and with the people and at their facilities, that they truly do care about dogs and the health of dogs and how the dogs break down. And they talked about like what humans do a lot. And I'm going to butcher this word, but you guys will correct me and you'll know what I'm trying to say. It's like amorphitizing or anamorphizing. Like treating animals like we do humans. And that goes with not only behavior, but how they eat and what their stomachs break down. And that is not, in fact, a good thing. And that this whole grain, like the idea of grain-free, and now we've got all this stigma that grain-free has been causing like cancer and all these issues in dogs that have been eating these grain-free diets. And you can look down why it's important to have grain and that there's not humans, and forget about gluten and grain and all these things. Like, dogs need certain things to break down. And if we really want to know what's behind dog food, look at the people that are feeding the raw diet, and they're feeding the dog oatmeal, which is a grain, and feeding the dog green beans and raw meat and eggs and all of those things. And so, I don't know. I'm a huge fan of it. The coat, 100% agree. When people see, particular my all liver dog Smoke, they're like, dude, what do you bathe your dog with? I was like, my dog's been bathed twice in his lifetime. Like, I don't
I'm the same way with Diesel. And I know Tyler switched his dogs to Eukanuba last year, was it, I think?
Last year.
Their coats just change. Like, they just feel so soft.
Coats and skin are great. Teeth are fantastic. They really they push this it's called DHA, which is good for young dogs and the growth of their brains. I don't know of any other food that's pushing DHA. Now, with all these things that I'm saying, you are going to pay a premium for this food right now. And I know that that's a stigma for a lot of people. And this is how I'm going to rebut why would I pay $10 or $15 more for 10 less pounds when I can get, let's say, Pro Plan for $60 for 50 pounds, but I'm spending $60 for 40 pounds for Eukanuba. That's 10 less pounds. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You spent $500 on your boots. You spent $1,000 on your shotgun. You spent $500 on your vest. You spent $150 on your Upland pant. You spent $300 on gas. You spent $30,000 on your vehicle. Why are we going to short the most important part of that entire operation, and that's our dog?
Yeah, I mean,
that right.
I wouldn't hunt if I didn't have my dog.
That's why I
I wouldn't hunt if I didn't have my dog.
The way it is. I'm going to
It-
spend money on the dog food because the dog is the most important part. And if
Yep.
I can justify a $700 Garmin Alpha collar and all these things that I'm talking about, I can damn sure justify an extra $12 a bag to make sure that my dogs are feeding what I consider to be a very high quality food. I will not
Absolutely.
say the best because there is no such thing as the best, and that's what's the problem with America right now. Is somebody always has to be right.
Yep.
ProPlan is a badass food and has been fueling champions, and I think ProPlan has the most champions
Yeah.
under the belt. There is more champions that are fed ProPlan than anybody. Doesn't mean ProPlan's the best, but I'm telling you what, it is absolutely top notch.
Absolutely.
Another choice, not the best, but a very high quality food that is and will continue to create champions in the future as they continue to put food out for working dogs.
Yep.
There is no such thing as the best. I'm just telling you that it is a damn fine option.
Yeah. No.
Can't go wrong with either.
You can't go wrong with that. Check it off the list.
That's great.
What are you using in the field? Give us, what are you shooting? What's your I should say your chucker duster.
I'm shooting, I shot all 10 species last year with a CZ Sharptail 16 gauge.
So
Man,
you
you
do
can't
shoot
beat a
16.
16 gauge.
So both Tyler and I just got the Browning A Sweet 16, and
Yeah.
we took it to a preserve to get the dogs warmed up for season.
Hammer.
Whoa, man!
Hammer.
I mean, I didn't miss. Tyler couldn't hit shit, but it was a great gun.
No bullshit, I didn't hit. Look at the videos. Look at the videos. I got proof. I have proof. I don't know if I'll ever shoot another caliber besides a 16 gauge.
I'm telling you right now,
They're so good.
I am so upset with myself that it took me from, let's see, when did I start? 2004 until, what was 2 years ago. It took me 14 years to shoot a damn 16 gauge. I am
Yeah.
so pissed at myself for that. And let me pair that with, I'm also upset with myself that it took me so long to shoot a side-by-side. So I started out shooting Remington 870 because that's what a lot of young men get. So I had me a good Remington 870.
I think that's got to be the most common gun. I think if you pulled America and said, "What was your first gun?" Remington 870.
Agreed. So I had the 70.
I mean, everybody I know says that.
I had like a Winchester 1200. I had the Remington 1100, big old heavy 12 gauge frame. And then I
Good thing you're eating your Ukanuba. You can carry that gun.
By the way, that's my only complaint with that 16 CZ. It is built on a 12 gauge frame, and it is a heavy gun. It is heavy. So
Right.
up until the house fire that I had, I was shooting a Franke 20 gauge over and under, a Franke Instinct L. I shot that gun for 5 seasons, and it's like 4.6 or 4.8 pounds. Like this you just flick,
Yep.
It was a paintbrush, and that's what I refer it to. It's kind of, it wasn't a gun that I got up and swung. I painted with that gun. You just flicked it up, You didn't have to have a nice swing. I mean, you could catch that bird mid-sight, flick it up, and just kind of natural pull. This 16 gauge is not a paintbrush. It is like it's a flagpole, bro. I feel like I'm jousting with that big bastard. But,
That's fun.
what ended up happening for me, and I'm busting balls. I'm a good shout out, by the way, my buddy Zach Hine over at CV, man. I love my gun. I'm not talking shit, promise. It's made me a better shooter, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, the side by side. I really love the sight plane. Having 2 barrels side by side, it is literally a flat sight plane, and I just put that bird right on the top of that flat sight plane. I don't have to do a whole lot of thinking, a whole lot of aiming. I just really love having a wide sight plane instead of having just a single barrel sight plane. It is a huge difference for me. The other thing that I really love about it is the problem is that when I first got that gun, I couldn't get my barrel speed up, right? Because it's a heavier gun by a pound and change. And so I was shooting behind everything, and my follow through was shit. So once I finally started to cycle rounds through it, what ended up happening is once I finally got my barrel speed, my swing through is effortless now because of the way that gun is weighted, that barrel just kind of swings naturally through you once you're following that bird.
Yep.
Nice.
So if I do miss on my first shot, my second shot is so much smoother because I've already got that heavy barrel speed just swinging with me, right? If bird doesn't crumble, continued to swing through, pulled my second shot, followed through till fall. So
Yeah.
it took me a while. I've never shot a gun more accurate in my entire life. That by far. And I also want to take that 16, man. There's just something about that 16, that birds that I used to might wound. Dude, it is a punch. That 16 is a punch. And I'm shooting some peyotes. I shoot peyotes out of that.
Okay. That's what I was just going to ask
and
you.
I always have shot peyote. Actually, when I was shooting that 20, I really like those Kent Fast Leads.
Yep.
I personally think that Kent Fast Lead is bang for your buck, the best round out there.
So we recently started trying Boss ammo. It's
Dude,
not.
Everybody's switching to Boss and telling me about this, man.
It's ridiculous, man. Like
you got to try Boss.
It's super.
Is it tungsten? What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's the tungsten, and it's I don't know what it is. This is a different bird. I went goose hunting with my cousin this past weekend. Big goose hunter. Took my dogs out, and I was shooting the Boss 3-inch 2-shot, and he had 3-inch and I had 3-inch, and he was using the Kent Bismuth. They're the same type of BB. So he was using BB, I was using 2-shot, and we had birds exact same yardage, and pulled the trigger at the same time. He dropped the first bird, I dropped the second bird, and mine just it just crumbled. I mean, hit the ground, no movement. His hit the ground, and it started running. And he's like, man, I know I hit that good. And we had another bird that I crumbled. He took another shot. They were probably 35-yard shots.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I just hit it better, which Nick knows that I'm not the best of shots, so probably not. But I mean, it literally they just crumbled the birds.
Hey, I never once said you were a bad shot. I was just giving you shit. You're the one that said that.
But we used the 16 gauge, the Boss, when we went to that pheasant farm last week, just to take the gun out, get the dogs on some birds.
Yeah.
And we were using improved cylinder choke in it, I believe.
Modified.
Maybe
I think I was using modified.
I don't remember. But, I mean, we had birds at, flushing, shooting them at 35 yards with the 16 gauge, and it was just
wrecking them.
Done. They might flap a little when they hit the ground, but no runners, no winged birds, nothing. And, I don't know if it's per se the ammo or if we're just, feeling that gun, where it's good. But
I think there's something to be said about Boss ammo. My ranch hand, we got him in a CZ that Field Sport over and under with that OD Green receiver.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
In a 20 gauge, and he struggled to shoot that. I was like, dude, we're out here training chucker and quail on my property for the dogs, and he's shooting like a bag of dicks. Terrible. I mean, just shooting absolutely terrible. And every time he was shooting, he was also dropping legs. So he was shooting low.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you what, he switched to the Bosses. We went out for shark tail opener, and he absolutely crumbled every one of his birds that he shot with that 20 gauge. And he took one that was over rain. Let's see. So he double shot. He missed his first bird on that covey. He shot his second. It was like a left to right. Let's call it 3 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Oh, it was beautiful. Kind of away too. And he shot that bastard. And when he hit it, I was like, oh, we better have a good mark. That's going to be a far shot. And when he hit it, dude, that bird just
crumbled
upside down, crumbled.
Yeah.
And Rain brought that bird back, and I looked at it, and I'm telling you, it was a young bird, but dude, crushed it. The whole left side of that bird's body, wing, leg, hip was broken. I was like,
damn.
Okay, if I start shooting like you, I'm going to grab some Bosses and see how I do. I don't know. We'll see. And then my buddies just shot in Manhattan, my alma mater. They shot a 4-man 12-minute limit of teal on the opener.
Wow.
12-minute, 4-man 12-minute limit, and they shot Bosses, and they said those teal it was almost too
nothing.
much.
Yeah.
was almost too much.
Yeah, they're saying, the boss is saying that either for teal you're supposed to be using like 6-7 shot on them.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, they were ripping teal in half, like literally ripping teal in half.
yeah, that boss stuff. I don't know. I think it's
I'm
good.
gonna buy a box.
It's,
You've
yeah.
sold me on it. You've sold me on it. Sponsor this guy, boss. Sponsor this man. He just that's a sale. That's a sale.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I need to check those out. I don't know. I've always shot Kents, and then I switched to Fiocchi
Yep.
last year. So
yeah, that's what I always shot Fiocchi, or
Yep.
however you pronounce it.
And then we
basically my whole
tried,
life.
wow, what the hell is it called?
Tried some Prairie Storm.
Yeah, I was gonna say Desert
I
Storm,
think,
but yeah.
dude,
That stuff was, I was super unpleased with that, but
Here's
it
the
is what
problem.
it is.
Here's the problem, and they know what's wrong. And I think everybody who sits around a campfire with a pack of cigarettes and a beer has this conversation about prairie storms. They had a good idea in that. Here's the problem with those. Their velocity was so high coming out of your barrel that it couldn't hold a pattern for shit.
Yep.
And that was the only problem, is that like they sold it as like, I don't even remember it. And I don't quote me on it. I don't know what it is. Let's throw 1,600 feet per second. Just
Yeah,
for
that sounds about right.
That's close.
You throw 1,600 feet per second out there. Dude, you know how America and men are? We're testosterone. We're all gassed.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, 1,600. Wait a minute.
That's right.
What's going on? Meanwhile, your buddy's shooting the $8 box of Winchesters at Walmart and just flopping birds at 1,250 feet per second.
Yep.
That's what those shoot, right? Those Dove load 1,250 feet per second, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's where they went wrong with those. I mean, it was a good concept, and they had the little saucer BBs in there, and that was all kind of cool. Like, I was like, hell yeah, that looks badass. I'll shoot something with that. And and if you did kill something with it, it was like the teal and the boss, just
Shredded. Yep.
Yep.
I'd like to eat my quarry, please and thank you.
Yeah.
So, Anthony, we're kind of winding down on time here. Give us a couple of your best hunting stories, your favorite ones. What are they? Let's hear these.
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna hit you right in the gut. I'm gonna get you with the first one. The one that comes to mind immediately was the hunt on the anniversary of the house fire last year. So
yeah,
I
I
lost
remember.
my dogs 2 years ago in a freak house fire in Idaho. We don't have to. I know people are so sick of hearing about it. It's actually some of the ridicule that I get from the people who don't like me is that I talk about it all the time, and that's how I got discovered. And I've made my fame off the death of my dogs, and it's pretty personal, obviously to me when I hear that type of thing. But that's the story of my life. Like I can't get around it. When I'm on a podcast and people ask me about it, like it happened. So I lost my first bird dog that I talked about that I bought my 5th year of college in that house fire. He was 10 going on 11. And I lost my stud dog, Radar, which this is an actual silhouette of a picture that I took of him on point.
Oh, nice.
That I just traced out of to make, one of my t-shirts of Radar. So I lost those dogs in that fire, which was December 4th, 2 years ago. So every year from here on out, I will always spend the first week of December in Idaho to celebrate the fire. I went and hunted the field the day before the fire, which was the last hunt that I had with him, that I shot the piss out of valley quail, which I did on the anniversary last year. It was a good hunt, but the one that I'm talking about particular was the day of the anniversary of the fire, December 4th last year. I went to the house where it burned down, to pay my condolences and do whatever I felt like I needed to do. I mean, what was I going to do? I knew the house wasn't there.
Yeah.
I just needed to go to the site. It had been a year since I'd seen it. So I went and prayed and said what's up to my boys. And then I went to the neighbor's house who owned the house that I owned that burned down, said hi to them, saw him and his wife. And I said, up back behind our house was a piece of public land, a piece of BLM land. 500 yards from the backyard of this house, and we shot quail back there, and we also shot Hungarian partridge 500 yards from the damn backyard of the house.
Nice.
Oh wow.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to go hunt this field on the anniversary of the fire right behind the house. Let's see what happened. Well, the guy who owned the house told me, yeah, you can go back there, but there was an arson not long after your house burned down, and the whole field caught on fire. So I don't know if you're going to find any birds out there. Complete different story. There's some funny business going on with my house fire and that field fire and all of that, man. There's some things I'm still not comfortable with on how that all went down, but I'm not going to accuse anybody. You know, God asked me to do other than that. So it happened, and that's what it is. But some things just didn't line up about that. So I walk up this hill and I get up there, and the whole beautiful golden field is completely black. No, not a single piece of grass, just completely charred.
Oh, wow.
And I said to myself, I'm not going to find a goddamn thing out here, but it was the anniversary of the fire. I already had my new dogs, which, by the way, is why I named my new dogs Smoke and Fuego, Smoke and Fire, because that's why I lost my previous dogs in the fire. Okay. I lost Gnarly and Radar to the house fire, so I bought 2 new dogs and named them Smoke and Fuego. So I got Smoke and Fuego out in the field. We're running, and all of a sudden, dude, I'm taking maybe 300 yards. Fuego goes on point. And I'm talking like as black as a field as it gets. Not a nothing in it. No bush, no nothing is alive. And I'm like, absolutely not, man. No way. So anyways, whatever. I walk up. He's holding point. Mind you, I mean, this is his first ever hunting season. And so for this young dog to be holding point like he was, I was like, there might actually be a bird here. Walked around, didn't see anything, relocated him. 50 yards later, he relocates, goes on point. I walk up, and a covey of hens gets a covey of Hungarian partridge gets up. I took 2 shots, killed 3 birds in 2 shots, 500 yards from where my dogs died in a field that was burned.
That is crazy.
And to walk up on those Hungarian partridges, beautiful gray and rust-colored breasts laying in that black field, man, it was like the most surreal, godly moment, man. Like to see such a beautiful, bright creature in this black, barren field. And I fell to my knees. I cried just like any man with a heart would after losing his dogs the way I did in a field. Killed 3 birds in 2 shots over my brand new dog. Man, I'm gonna cry talking about it, but it was just like, it was unbelievable. So let me get off the subject so I don't cry right now. We picked these birds up, and I'm like, hell, there's birds out here. I'm going to keep hunting. Well, I walked far enough that you could see the line that the firefighters got the fire put out. And it was like, dude, it was like a yin and yang. Completely golden grass, completely black. A perfect line of it.
That's
Me
awesome.
being an upland hunter that I am, I said, oh, shit. They're going to roost and use this as cover, this golden grass. And there's all these new green shoots coming up in this burnt field. I'm going to hug this line all the way down until this land. And I shot a limit of Hungarian partridge over 2 1-year-old dogs in a half-burnt field that my dogs died in, man. I shot a limit of partridge.
That is awesome.
Absolutely life-changing, man. And anybody who doesn't believe in God, man, that's not a coincidence. I don't go out and shoot a limit of Huns on any day, much less in the backyard of where my dogs died on the day of the anniversary. Man, that was God's gift.
In a burnt field. Yeah.
That was God's gift. That was him saying, way to get back up, way to keep kicking dirt. You put your boots on, you came back, you faced the worst thing that ever happened to you. Myself and your dogs are proud of you. Now revel in Hungarian partridge and just let them have it. I would say that that's probably, one of the by far most memorable and favorite hunts of my entire life.
Absolutely.
And that was last season.
Man, that's crazy.
And then I think that another one that really sticks out to me was my very first chucker hunt when I did my Revel in the First film with Project Upland.
Nice.
So I did that Project Upland film, Revel in the First. My first chucker hunt, I hunted 5 days and didn't even pull the trigger. Ran myself ragged. Dogs are bleeding. I'm bleeding. I'm emotionally just ragged. Having the film crew there, trying to produce and put together a good film, and I'm in the middle of building my brand, and then it all came together, and Radar went on point in this little bottom full of water, and I shot my first chucker, cried again in the field on my knees with bird in hand, and then went and shot another 2 chucker after that, after we started picking out singles out of that group. And to do that on the last day, 200 yards from the truck before the film was over, it was just like, it was that gratifying moment again of of you did it. You kept going every single day. You got out
Yep.
in the field. Your feet are blistered up. Your dogs are limping. You're pushing them to the max. This is my boy Rowdy, by the way. It's my new English Cocker pup. Old Rowdy.
Yeah, Rowdy
Oh,
Roo.
His registered paper name, you guys will enjoy this, is Fetching Feathers, Roddy Piper's Top Rope. Call name out.
That's awesome.
So he's Roddy Piper's Top Rope. But yeah, that first chucker that I ever killed, I'd never worked so hard for a bird in my life. I'd never been in terrain that way. I'd never hunted steep stuff like that. I've never been on rock edges where if you took a wrong step, you or your dog wouldn't come back. That chucker hunt was, dude, game changing. That chucker hunt, quite honestly, is the reason that I moved to Idaho, where the house fire was. And I will be back in Idaho. You know, my kennel's in Colorado right now, just east of Denver, and I'm doing good. But I have plans to expand. I'm going to hire somebody full-time here down the road and have them take over this portion of the kennel, and I'm going to expand, build a kennel in Idaho. And,
awesome.
You know, that's long-term goals, and who knows if it happens. But if you're not setting goals, then you know, get the hell out of my way, because
just
see what kind of shit you can put on a shirt.
Don't be stagnant, man. You know, the devil loves an idle hand. You got to set some goals. So I'm dreaming big. And my dogs are the ones giving me these dreams, man. I'm chasing dogs on public lands. And I'm getting to tell stories about my dogs and what I love with guys like you, you know. So God bless you.
We love it.
God bless the Uplands and bird dogs, man. I wouldn't have a life without it.
Yep. Well.
Yeah, no, it's been great, Anthony. We appreciate your time here tonight. Sometime we'll have to get together and shoot over each other's dogs and have a few cold ones afterwards and celebrate being in this sport. You know, it's unique to have hunters like yourselves and trainers and everybody get together and just talk about have a commonality, especially nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And if you guys get froggy before rooster season, I'll send you some pins on some of that South Dakota stuff. If you guys want to go test yourselves and your dogs, man, I'll put you guys on some Sharpies and some chickens. I'll give you guys some pins. Like, I can't encourage you enough. You think you love upland hunting now, man. I'm telling you, you go hunt new grounds and you guys said it. To watch your dog bring back a new species, there's nothing better.
Yep.
It becomes an addiction. It becomes an addiction to see a different bird and a different species in your dog's mouth. And that's what it's become for me. And that's why I did that, 10 species in 5 weeks in 5 states last year. It wasn't about, I'm a big badass and I can do this, which, by the way, pretty badass. I shot 10 from a rookie dog one season. That is pretty cool.
Yes.
But it's more so about, like, dude, if you see 10 pictures lined up of your dog with 10 different birds in his mouth, I can't describe the joy that it brings to a man's heart to see 10 different birds in your dog's mouth, man. You guys got to go get it. And that goes to everybody else. Quit hunting the same stuff you already know. Go push yourself. I promise you'll love it. I promise, man.
That's right.
Great advice.
All right, boys. Good, man. I greatly appreciate it. Fetch feathers. Retrieve roosters. Let's kick some ass.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night, Anthony. Thank you very much.
See you later.